Hello, welcome to SI Lab episode number 9. SI, Laura and Brian. And today we have two great guests. We've got Julie and we've got Jess. And both of them have SCNE functions, but one of them has Savior SI Daemon NE and the other one has Savior NE Daemon SI. So we're going to have some fun with SI and NE, and we're going to try to mix some chaos, but it'll be kind of planned chaos. So
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's kind.
So we hope to have some fun during this episode. And what I like to do is have the two guests introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about how you got into OPS, your full OPS type, and anything else interesting you want us to know. Who wants to start?
I'll flip a coin.
I can start. I'm very blasty. I don't care. Do you mind, Jess?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Julie, and I am the INTP here. I'm INTP Consume Play Blast Double Feminine. I was typed back in 2018, and before 2018, I'd run into Myers-Briggs a couple times, and I kind of always dismissed it because I never felt like, for just in the situations where I was shown it, like I taught chemistry. That was the last time I had done it. And I quizzed as an ENTP, but I didn't quite understand how to use it or get the kind of exercises that we were doing for it. But in 2017 into 2018, my dad passed, and then my cousin's dad passed right afterwards. And it was a big shock to the family. And my cousin, so my uncle, his daughter, she does Christian counseling, and she just was talking about Myers-Briggs a lot with them, and just got me really into it. She got me really hyped, and like I wanted to help her type our whole family, and she really wanted me to like know what I thought our parents are, which I think my dad was lead feminine TE. I'm bad at feminine TE, so I don't know what. Anyway, and her dad is Robert Herjavec, basically, was Robert Herjavec. But I got really into it. I was looking all around and then found OP. And the skib that I am, like a week later, I was getting typed, because back then you could in 2018. And was just like,
you're one of the early ones.
Yeah. Well, okay, sorry. A week later, I submitted my video, and then I got it back a month later. But like I had just joined the class. So yeah, back then you could submit as soon as you joined the class and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I was just really excited, and it helped me a lot. And my husband got type 2 because he saw how much it helped me, and was like, and he's masculine TE. So right, he was like, wait, this is working for you. I want this. And yeah, I've just really loved it. I'm really excited about the socials. I'm part of Femmes into Play right now, where on YouTube, me and my type twins all discovered we're each one of the 4 socials, and I was like, this might be cool for other people to see, because I feel like I'm learning so much about it.
So that is interesting. So you're each one of the 4. That yeah.
What
about like all getting together and maybe making a YouTube video?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's like I was like, we have to share some of this.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
We're always, yeah. It's we just started. We have 3 videos, and forgive us. It's very skibby, and it's just like we're just trying to be there. But we're talking about how to improve it and stuff. But yeah, we just talk so much in our little chat, and it's been so interesting. So we're sharing it there, and that's how I figured out I was friends. I was like, maybe I'm a 2, but the 2, I was like, oh, I see you are a 2. Okay, I'm a 4 for sure. So yeah, other than that, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I plan to start my own channel about narrative structure, which is something I've been working on for some time. That also relates actually to OP. In part, I derived some narrative structure things using some OP. So that is not on YouTube yet, but will be at some point. So
Narrative
kind of
structure
you bet I can talk quite a bit.
So to kind of
narrative
change
structure
the
sounds
channel
very
a bit,
interesting.
okay, maybe it's not a channel change if I'm telling you I'm changing the channel. But can you explain a little bit about narrative structure? Like,
Oh yeah, certainly. Thank you. I would love to. So you know the hero, yes, everyone knows the hero's journey. I was trying to write a book a couple years ago, and I got really frustrated because sleep last and ST, now I see that, but I felt like nothing was quite working for me in terms of structure. And so I took the hero's journey apart many times, and when I did it by archetype, I kind of found that instead of one line from beginning to end, that if you kind of split it by archetype, I found 6 what I call journey arcs, and they are voyage, discovery, transformation, redemption, conflict, and mastery. And part of how I put them back together into those arcs, actually OP helped with that, with the animals and
okay.
seeing the archetypes and how things basically, sorry, this is so sleep blasted right now, but like in each arc, the archetypes are kind of opposing, and that pushes through to the arc. But you can literally map every point of every story using this, and I finally have finalized the journey arcs themselves, and I'm just starting to work on like the YouTube aspect, like how am I going to present this, and really putting it to stories, and really getting good comparisons on how they function in different stories. And I plan and doing all the ST behind videoing and stuff. Like just editing the femmes into play is like really hard. You don't understand. I'm like for like hours, and it's like such a simple video, and I'm like, and now I want to do something, you know, it's like how on earth. So that's
All right.
that's my ST. Like this is hard, but yeah, but that's
Building a good framework for it though. So one thing at a time, that's good exercise. And I randomly ran across you guys. It came in my YouTube feed on my walk, so I got to see you guys a little bit. So it's enjoyable to listen to or to watch. It's mostly listening to because I have my phone in my hand.
Oh yeah, I don't think you need the videos at all. Yeah, I do that too. Every time I'm like when I've watched like The Lab and when I've watched Dave and Shan, yeah, I'm usually driving. It's a good time to listen to videos. I'm with you.
I like the way you call that, The Lab. Ooh, that sounds official.
It's a good acronym.
Right. One thing before Jessica introduced herself too, it's like I got this book called Writing Without Rules. I forgot I had when you were describing your narrative arcs and stuff. I think there's some references to similar things in here. But anyway, it's really cool what you're doing. I'll compare notes with you at some point.
Yeah.
And Henry from the community, you know, he wants to be a big author, and he's got all kinds of things. He could probably collaborate with you too. He's any dom, so it might be fun for you and him to get together and discuss.
Yeah, I would love to. Yay. Yay, it's so good whenever I actually blast it out into the world and and get a response. Sorry, IP moment. I'm like, oh yeah, yay, other people.
And with Henry, just mention anything about Tolkien, and you'll have his attention. He loves Tolkien.
Great. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm Jessica. I was typed through, I kind of got into it via a loophole, in that I submitted my video to one of the cognitive resolution teams was typed by 2 of the teams. And apparently Shan will sometimes step in to help the harder cases. And I was presented to her almost exactly a year ago. I got an email from one of the teams on July 4th saying, hey, this is your type and you're really rare and that's great. And I was very happy. Originally I got into Myers-Briggs like maybe like a decade ago, but you know, typed as an INFJ, and everyone else was INFJs too. So it's like, well, I'm not doing this. My first love is like the Enneagram, and so I like that. But then because I've really fell in love again with cognitive functions because of OPS. So yeah, so it's been like a little over a year of study and interest. Yep.
And during the day, what keeps you busy?
During the day, I have 6 little children, ranging from 5 to 14, and I homeschool them. Not right now, we're done for the summer, which has been really nice. And so yeah, just like random stuff now, repainting my living room. We all do archery. Yeah, just whatever I want. And I think I'm a number 3. That was the other thing. So.
So number 3, taking up archery. So I see some activity coming here.
So even
Right.
even the younger ones do it too. And
There's only been 2 things that everyone loves. One of them is archery, and the other of them is roller skating. So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the 5 and the 14-year-old, because that's hard to
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Have y'all tried them together yet?
At the same time.
Like, there's a moving target. Go.
All right, we're talking NE today, so yeah.
I mean,
That's an idea.
It kind of reminds me of the biathlon. I'm like you're skiing and then you stop and you shoot a target. And whoever
That's cool.
thought to put the 2 together.
Well, you're up in Minnesota. You've probably seen that sport before. I've only saw it on TV.
I've never seen it. I mean, but I have seen curling, and
Curling's weird.
yeah.
But it's fun.
All I know is a mechanical engineer in me is really intrigued with curling because I like shuffleboard and it reminds me of shuffleboard.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to try
I
to?
just have one quick question, kind of
go
for
ahead.
both of you. Were you surprised when you got your official OPS type? And, which parts were you surprised about? Did you have a guess before you went into OPS?
Yeah, I was typing because I was typed visual. I was typing myself as MF, NE, FI, consume, sleep, blast, play. I got the play blast right, but it was just like, So I was very surprised. And the reason why I even considered it was because it was still DI. Like I was pretty certain I was self over tribe. So that's what, yeah. And then could see it in the next couple of days pretty easily.
Yeah.
You made reference to Enneagram, so I'm wondering, is there any correlation between the 2 that you see?
Some that I see, yeah, like 3s tend to be blast first. Again, like there's lots of exceptions to this, but like or even that I've seen a lot of like 6-wing 7s be on the NESI axis. That tends to be like a very 6-ish place to be because it's so it boxes things. There's a lot of little random things. I have not found anything like overall, which I'm kind of happy about because I feel like that's the way like it should be, but because I don't see them as the same thing. They're tracking different, things. So
How about you, Julie? You do any
What was the
Enneagram?
original question? Sorry.
Were you surprised?
Been assessed as Enneagram and right, be
Were
surprised.
you surprised at any parts of your OPS type, and then
and then Enneagram. Okay. So like I said, I was really only consuming a lot of Myers-Briggs. It was like 3 months, I think, that I was consuming it before I found 3 or 4 months. And I was pretty sure I was an INTP. And when I took quizzes, I got ENTP and ENFP. I actually never got INTP in quizzes, but like I'm a 4, and something I've seen relative to my type twins is that I really define myself a lot based on feedback from others. And I was just like, feel like my whole life people have just been like, you're masculine TI, and like that's not what they're saying, but just like, you're always logical, blah blah blah. Like I've been told I'm a boy a lot, which I think they just were all meaning masculine TI. And
What?
So I saw INTP.
What was that word you said?
Here's my, huh?
What was that word you said?
A
Boy.
boy?
Oh, I didn't catch that word.
Yeah.
Oil?
Multiple times in my life, I've had girls be like, I didn't get you. And then I just realized you're a boy. And then I got you. And I'm
Oh,
like,
boy. Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I think they meant like, because like, you know, just because I'm more likely to engage in conversation with someone when it's about something they're doing and their interests. I'm not this, like, I don't know, like the one group, it was like all the girls would go to rom-coms and I would try to go with them and I would just make fun of the movie and I was like, I shouldn't be here. and I will say the older I get, the more I like rom-coms, you know, the more FE I have, and you know, I think that's where it was coming from. Multiple times girls have just been like, you're a boy, and I'm like, okay. But so like felt like I knew I was an INTP, but I will say my masculine NE. So, like I said, I was watching OP for like a week before I submitted my type video, and Dave probably still has a video, that was like, you are definitely not typing yourself right, right? Like they said that. And so I was like, okay, what if I'm wrong? And I was like, but I know I have masculine TI, but let's say I don't have N. So I was like, maybe I'm like some weird INFJ that go, you know, but that was like just from that 1 week of consuming, I didn't really have time to like type myself, and lead sleep did feel weird, but I was just really trying to be like, okay, if I'm not INTP, what am I? but yeah, I felt like all the stereotypical INTP things, like kind of in your head, you're a mess, like you're, you know, people say you're smart, that stuff. I was like, yeah, INTP.
It sounds like you found like you feel at home with IMTP.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then when they typed me, it was just like, yes, 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 everything that they said. Really rung true. I mean, they really helped me. I was in like quite a bad place in that year. I'd had a lot happen, and like my dad passing was just like the capstone on all of that. And in my video, I remember saying like, I feel like I'm just in a pool of intellectual filth right now that I don't know what to do with. And them showing me like, yeah, you are, and here's like all your functions, just really helped me help myself. Like I feel like they taught me how to fish, right? The biblical teach a man to fish thing. And so yeah, it helped me so much when I was in a very, very bad place in that year. I was broken, like mentally, emotionally, physically. So they helped me a lot. And Enneagrams, I don't know them, and yeah, when I look at them, I always get a little confused. I'm like, this I don't know. Maybe is loyalist 4?
I think
Do you
that's a
think?
6.
6, yeah.
No, but do you think it's a friends?
4?
You,
I
you,
wouldn't
you
think
like,
so.
you mean like
I think
Enneagram
it-
loyalist?
yeah.
Like what does it correlate to with social types?
Yeah, like could loyalist correlate with 4?
It could. I think anything could though.
But then it could correlate with 3, because 3 is kind of like security oriented, you know, in their job, and sometimes 6s are that way. I would say it could probably be any social type.
I think you're right. I think it can be
Oh,
anything. There's only 4 social types, and there's like,
Yeah.
9 plus, 18 if you include wings, or yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, I'd have to look at it again. I know, because I know a lot of, when I look at it, I'm not sure. OP works well for me because it's like, this is how your brain functions. And I feel like as NE into TI, I'm watching my brain all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure Enneagrams has things. I feel like maybe it is more FI to some degree, and it's probably just hard for me to see in myself.
Right. Great introductions.
Yeah.
Good to meet you guys in person.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Laura, you want to challenge me to try to SI this?
Sure.
We have a lot of
Okay.
any energy in our chat, so it's getting off to a really good start in my opinion. And so Laura and I throughout this episode, this is the last one before we did the capstone, unless we decide to insert another one. So this is episode 9, and along the way, Laura's kind of like poked me. Let's have some any fun, you know. And I think part of that is her demon wanting to either peacock or develop. The other part of it is any's just fun. So we're going to try to orchestrate some of that today, and then put a little structure on it as well. So we don't quite know where we're going.
I don't think my any is totally a demon, because I have Savior Play, and the play has any in it. So it's I call it a half demon.
Half demon. All right, I like the terminology. Speaking of terminology, so the first topic we're going to get into is kind of like play on words, languages, and acronyms and things of that nature. So either one of you guys go first and just describe your experience with those facets of the NESI axis. Oh, by the way, before you do so, let me just say what I was going to say is that we're talking about creativity, brainstorming, and language and words and all these different types of things here. But the blanket statement up front, everybody does everything. We're not claiming NESI does that better. We're just offering our perspective as NESI users on the axis related to these topics. So with that,
I got a couple of things I can share.
Okay, yeah.
Because it kind of going to fit with what we're talking about.
Oh, you're going to randomize me. Okay, cool.
Well, let's see if I can get the technology to work.
Share screen.
Am I gonna need a pen and paper?
I know. I feel like
Yeah.
too.
Here's a pen. You can borrow mine.
I'll need that eventually, so I'm gonna grab one.
You might.
Can I grab two?
Not.
Well,
Is the technology ST causing you chaos here?
Well, I saved some files to my desktop, and so I'm trying to upload it.
Oh, so you got to upload it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want us to go and have a conversation while you look for those?
We could, sure.
Okay. Yeah, look for them and do a share screen on them whenever you're ready. So let me just. Oh, look, there she goes.
Sometimes Wheel of Fortune isn't as easy.
Oh, okay.
Wheel of Fortune.
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, I had a window open. There was a video that had like Wheel of Fortune fails. And, like you have missing letters, and people try to make guesses, and it sounds funny, but it's totally the wrong answer.
Okay. So you want to try another screen?
Well,
or you want us to do something with this so we can talk about Amazon songs? Oh, there you go. Oh, you got it.
You got it now? Okay.
Well, I see some things.
You see some files. Okay.
There's the ostrich.
Okay, this one, the name one. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one I sent you.
Yeah. So
can you click it, make it big?
So I think this is just kind of an anything, like they do this play on words thing they have, and they have like use like name of team member in each letter.
Oh yeah. You want me to explain this one? I sent Laura this one.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So I didn't sleep a lot last night. Sleep last here, sleep parentheses. Because my college baseball team, LSU, won the national championship, and I was watching it. And a friend of mine sent me this play on words, which you can't see great here. But what it is there's like 17 members of the roster. And I don't know if that's the complete team or not, but I think it is. And they took each player's name and they spelled out LSU Tigers baseball with it. So this is kind of an example of some NESI fun that Laura and I were talking about. So she's decided to throw that up there randomly right now and challenge me to explain it. So that's my best.
So
I thought it was pretty cool.
Kind of planned, but It was
Yeah,
planned I would
half
show
planned,
it.
half not
It
planned.
wasn't planned exactly when I would show it.
So I feel
And
like
they can't quite see it, but they get the
Yeah,
idea.
if you double click it, will it get
Oh, I double
bigger?
click on the picture. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's bigger. Oh, and then I can drag it. Okay.
I am back.
So,
I am.
okay, what are you seeing?
so I feel like so like Brian briefly before our talk here, Brian was talking a bit about how he doesn't tend to see masculine TE or feminine TE in someone. He'll see either masculine FI or feminine FI in someone, and which actually often happens with me too. And I feel like here it's like definitely any was used, but I feel like what I see is the play on the SI. It's like the any is playing with the SI because SI, it feels like likes to play with words perhaps a little more. It's like when SE plays with words, it's like M&M. It's like they've been NI'd into a category, and so they're getting thrown out in these categories. And he's got masculine SE, so like sounds are very important in that. And this is like the structure of the word, right? And that feels very SI. Like when I enjoy to play with like playing with words as well. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, very fair. It's masculine SI for sure.
Or well, no, I don't mean if it's masculine or I don't know that. It's like I see the SI and the NE by seeing the SI. That's what I meant.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Like seeing the
Oh, you're
meshing
saying
with
like
the
we were
SI.
saying, discerning TE's modality by looking at FI. You're talking about doing the same thing with NE and SI here.
Exactly. Like I see the NE because I see that it's being played with, but what do I see being played with? Yeah, the SI.
Gotcha.
Is what it feels like to me.
Okay. So Laura, you can keep playing chaos with me, or oh look, there she goes. Julie's
you got
innovating.
you captured the whole image. Okay.
Yeah. So you can kind of see it a little bit better now.
Yeah, baseball. There we go.
Oh, why don't you stop sharing the screen and then Julie can show it and then it'll be
Sure,
bigger.
yeah, Julie could share her.
There you go.
There you
So
go.
there's the graphic, and it's kind of like, you've heard of Wordle and Scrabble and all these different things. So I thought it was pretty cool. All the players' names are represented with the term LSU Tigers baseball. So it's a little NESI fun there to get us started.
Okay.
So we were talking about language, playing words and acronyms and Scrabble and Wordle and all that kind of stuff. So either one of you guys, go ahead and tell us your experiences with NESI access.
I mean, wordplay always is like a magnet to me. It doesn't really matter if I'm good at it or not. So if like someone wants to throw out like, hey, let's make an acronym, I'll like jump in immediately. I don't feel very proficient at it because I feel like I feel like with it, it's hard to stay on track because you want all the letters to still speak to the gestalt of the word. And like you could put random words in, but like it's keeping that gestalt in mind that I find really like challenging. What I did do a lot.
Can you define gestalt for me?
Gestalt is like you have like it's like the culmination of all separate pieces and how separate pieces make a whole. So if like you have a bunch of black and white pieces, but then you put them together and it creates a panda. Apart, they're not a panda, but together they are.
Okay, cool.
It's a very fun German word that
Oh,
I
yeah,
bet you're supposed to spit while you're saying it, but I don't. But what I have noticed even growing up, like all through my life, I love alliteration, like trying to fit as many words into that as I could. And I still like Brian is like acronym, like he's constantly like spitting them out like all the time. And I feel like even alliteration, I'll do that in like normal conversation, just kind of be like, that was funny of me. Person won't catch it, but my brain enjoys the play,
Yeah.
That's cool. So alliteration. Yeah. That's a fun word thing.
Yeah.
One of my nicknames is Bayou Bird, so I like to play with alliteration as well.
Bayou Birds? What's that?
Bayou Bert. Some friends of mine from back home in Louisiana call me Bert, and it's the Bayou State, so I became Bayou Bert when I moved to Texas.
Fun.
And I guess for myself, it's like I appreciate a really good acronym. I'm not as good as coming up with them on the spot as Brian is. You know, Brian is like a genius at acting. You just you ever go in the OPS group and just search for his posts, you'll find several.
I'd probably put the label sick versus genius. It's a sickness. I can't stop myself.
Yeah. But
so anything else, Jessica, from the word, dictionaries, words, all those types of things, alliteration plus what other things?
Even like, wait, we're doing you're asking about dictionaries?
Yeah, language, dictionaries, play on words.
Speaking of Tolkien, I have a Tolkien dictionary. I have, I like let's systematize all of the major components of a certain thing and put them together in one thing to give you, to just define everything, defining terms. I want my terms defined. And when it's something like fun, in a story or something, that's even better. So.
Yeah. And that feels like a bit of mixing in the TI there as well, right? Like, yeah.
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 This is fine. I'm just having some chaos here. I have a Tolkien dictionary as well, but I can't find it.
Oh, really? That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were we saying, Laura?
Oh, do you ever look up words in a dictionary just for the fun of it?
Yeah, go on, Julie. I'm gonna think.
When I was a kid, yeah, my dad had all these encyclopedias and I would just open them up to a page and like just look at the words on that page. We didn't have cable or anything as well. So, but yeah, that was a big, like, fun thing I would kind of do often when I was a kid.
Yeah, I would do that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like making up rhymes and puns. But I can't, I'm not so good at doing it on the spot, but sometimes out of nowhere, I'll come up with some silly rhyme or pun.
Nice.
I can do rhyme and a little bit of punning. Rhyming's easier. I think because rhyming, it gives you a box to start off with. It's not so like any open-ended. It's like it has to rhyme.
Yeah, but like if you tell me just to write a poem, I'd be like, I feel like I can't do it to save my life. But if you tell me write a rhyming poem, write a haiku, then I got some structure to it, and if it can just be silly and it's not like I have to NF it, then I can maybe pull it off.
Oh, you don't so you don't want to NF it, because that's so interesting, because I was just feeling like whenever I've written poetry, I have to like be in an NF state. Like I have to be able to be in a place where I can let my TI like go for a little bit and just free flow, right? But that could also just be because maybe it's like a play energy.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it's hard to not take an analytical approach to it and just, and
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, for you too. Oh,
so you want us to challenge you, Laura? Is that what you were saying a while ago? To come up with a rhyme or something? I'm just teasing. Maybe we can do it as a group at the end of the episode.
Do it as a group, yeah.
Okay.
I really like editing. I'm really good at that part. Like that's my TI right there. Like that's the thing. Like I just shut my TI off while I just get something down, and then my NETI can come in and be like, let's make this better. That's how it works for my mind anyway.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of do that too. And I think I do it with SI. And maybe there's some TE in there, because I'm kind of thinking about, is this going to make sense to other people that are reading it?
Oh yeah. That's TE.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I want to communicate it well.
Well, you both are masculine DE.
I'm feminine DE.
You're feminine DE. Why did I think you were masculine?
Yeah. I'm masculine SI.
You're masculine SI. Okay, my bad.
Or we could show off the NE here by all saying things that we agree, find all the commonalities, and then try and figure out all the connections of like, I like dogs. Actually, I don't like dogs, but why don't you like dogs? Maybe there's a pattern here.
My puppy didn't hear that.
Sorry.
That's my mind always trying to look for the pattern.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that's an anything. It's just you
Yeah.
can't. It's hard to turn it off.
I can't stop. Yeah, it's like a sick thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Like she called it genius, I call it illness.
Yeah.
So we'll go pivot to brainstorming and creativity. And again, we're not saying it's just an NESI thing because everybody does everything, and we know there's a lot of creative people out there. But I do tend to think of NE folks as brainstorming, creativity oriented folks. So the play on words here, I got a dictionary, one of 40 something types dictionaries I have. So brainstorming, the way this dictionary defines it is a business. And once I tell you the name of this book, it'll make sense of why these are phrased the way they are. A business buzzword for the collective cogitations of brains unleashed in concept to mount an attack on a problem from every possible point of view.
You read that in the right voice.
Huh?
You read that in the right voice. You gave it the right gravitas.
Oh, in the right way. Okay, thank you. So then I'm going to go backwards, for a little any chaos here. The next word is what brainstorm, the verb means. It's an attempt to reach imaginatively beyond obvious solutions, to come up with obviously ludicrous suggestions in an attempt to get the boss off your back.
Okay.
Just having fun.
Okay. I think I got another thing to show you here because it's kind of.
Oh, you're going to cause me some chaos right now?
Wait. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, crap. Okay.
You can't control the chaos, Brian.
I know. I'm going to try though.
Successfully share this screen here. Let's pull up this one.
Anything called ass? Yes.
Oh yeah, you got to get this one to show it. This one's
think
good.
Of how many words? Yeah, like you start with a word and then you think of it's like free association. Like, okay, what are some words that are associated with ass? And
okay, so did we send that one to Julie or Jessica as well? They can hold it up on the screen because this is not showing it well enough.
Okay, should I move it? Here.
I don't remember getting it.
Hey, just text it to one of them and then take away the screen share and then they could show it.
Okay.
I think we're going to see it.
Let's see.
Oh, I've got it here somewhere. Maybe I can just show it.
I made it smaller.
Yeah, I can show it on my phone.
Right.
Right. So unshare the screen and I'll show it on my phone. Okay. So here's the graphic I saw the other day on the interwebs. And you can see, I thought it was a real good play on word. You see these all the time on the back of cars, and this is the ass family.
Nice.
And you can read for yourself, smart ass, dumb ass, all the different types of asses. So I thought that was a really cool little play on words.
It's a new way to get which type of ass are you, and you're
I would have been the kiss, I think.
Oh, you asking me? Or,
also smart.
Which one are you?
Well, my sisters growing up called me a dumbass and a smart ass.
Yeah.
So those are me.
I'm kind of hoping for smart. Or Jack.
Yeah, I'll go Jack.
Depends on what mood they were in.
Oh.
At least one of them was strong feminine FI, let's just say. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to go, I said brainstorming and brainstorm. And then I'm going to say this definition of the next one and ask you guys to guess what the term is. It's the byproduct of a bloated mind, expressing thoughts and opinions randomly and witlessly. A burst of possibly useful information produced by accident. So anybody want to have a little any guess?
I don't know, but I like that concept of bloated mind. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Okay, this is pertaining to one word. Like you pull out
so yeah, it's the word. I just read you the definition of the word. It's a noun. So I read brainstorming, then brainstorm, and then I read this one, the definition, and I want you guys to guess what the word is.
Oh, it's an actual definition to a word.
Well, according to this dictionary, once I show you the name of the dictionary, it'll start to make sense as to why these are worded the way they are.
I like
Can you read off the definition
concept
again?
that creativity would be a bloated mind.
Okay, I'll read it again. the byproduct of a bloated mind expressing thoughts and opinions randomly and witlessly. A burst of possibly useful information produced by accident.
I'm going with creative.
Serendipity.
Oh my god, me is me.
Come on, Julie. Okay.
I'm serious. Okay.
Skip.
Everyone
No,
can't
they
get
don't
over
actually
how
say
like
skip
sleep
here.
last, just like it feels like sleep laster with SI. They have information. It's gonna come at you.
Jessica, you want to take a cut at the word?
I think it's creative.
Okay. Oh yeah, that could have been it.
Brainstorm.
But
It's not.
this is a dictionary, and I'm in the B section. The word starts with a B.
Brainstorm.
Well, it was brainstorm was the last one, but this one is
Blabbing?
huh?
Blabbing.
How about I
Blast.
tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain fart.
Oh, bloat.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, you've been too literal. But yeah, bloating does match now that you say it.
Okay. So,
And so now, guess what's the name of the dictionary that these words were pulled from? This is not really fair, but we're having fun
No,
here.
wait, I don't know. Sorry.
the name of the
Jessica might know.
addiction.
Oh,
Well, can
no, I don't
see
have that one.
Dictionary bullshit, 'cause you
The
can't-
dictionary of bullshit. Which I thought when I saw that one at Barnes and Noble, I just had to buy it for my library.
Nice.
So there you go with some things along that line.
The
So
only book of consume last we'll ever need.
yeah. So any stories or experiences with brainstorming and creativity that you think extend from your NESI functions?
Yeah, all of
Yeah, I
them.
can I can go first. I was thinking of this, and I think I would combine it with the fact of being number 3 and being responsibility low, and that like you can't really for me, there isn't much agency. Like you have a problem and responsibility high, you can go out and you can solve that problem. For me, responsibility low is you have to make it work because you don't really have the wherewithal to go and solve it. So I feel like I'm really developed in a skill where I can take something like, whether it be something given to me or trash or something that has already been there that I didn't have to go get, and then use that as the single SI point and then brainstorm the possibilities for how to use it, and how to be innovative and how to be creative with what I am given versus what I went out and got. And I've seen that fuel a lot of creativity in me, but it's in the physical world, for sure.
So is it in your hobby or your home life or in your past or other type of anything and any other nature where you've been involved like a brainstorming team or exercise and had a preferred way of approaching it?
I very much do not like the blank page in brainstorming. You want me to brainstorm, you need to give me something to ping off of. Like I'm not like I'm very uncomfortable. Like I'll just sit there and be like, there's so many possibilities here. I can't do this. Like, but as long as you give me an idea, you give me a thing, like a single SI thing, then that's easy. Then that's even fun. Like I like doing that. But it's even without that one thing, I'm just like, I hate this, I'm gone, you know.
So if you were like in a conference room with folks, somebody would have to kind of kickstart it and then you'd engage. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and then I might even like, I got masculine DE, I would then like kind of take over if I was confident in what I was doing. But like I'm not, unless I have the single point or someone else gives it to me, I need that SI thing. But then I still like the word possibilities for brainstorming. So.
Yeah. What about you, Julie?
So I love it because me and Jessica have the same deciders, so that's always interesting. I actually love the white page. I love a blank page. I actually keep like most of my notes I write on like there's no lines even because I just don't even want lines. I want it to be completely blank. And even when I use Scrivener, I have a folder I call like white page. And for brainstorming, I actually like I said, in a group I'm best at pinging off of someone else. Like if you're going to brainstorm, I'm definitely not the first person to start, because like I said, it's like, I feel like I have to get into my NEFE. And so I have to shut off my TI. So I have to be by myself, I guess, with a white page, but like I enjoy pinging off of someone else because I feel like I can any TI like shift it, like be like, oh, maybe improve this, or maybe put it over here, or like I really like to make things better. Like I said, I like to edit or play a little bit off of something, so I have that play blast then into the consume. So in a group like that, but by myself, so like if I'm in a group, pinging off of other people and like I said, generally trying to make it better, or I can really get into more of a flow state. I feel like if I have a white page, however, I like limits too, to a degree. Like I think Jessica has brought that up a couple times. Like there is a power in limiting things, in creating rules whenever you have creativity. That way you can get to, that helps you get to a final product, I feel like, in the end.
So you're NE over SI and Jessica's SI over NE, and she kind of like said she'd get in there and then, you know, get a kickstart, and then her masculine would take over. So what would be your role? And everybody walks into the conference room, this big whiteboard up there, and you're on a brainstorming project. What does Julie look like at the beginning of that meeting?
I mean, so what does Julie look like at the beginning of the meeting? If I had some time to prepare, then yeah, I might. If I felt like I had something that was really good, I mean, I might be throwing it up there. But it really depends on. So okay, so a big creative project I used to do as a team was my friend, and you can actually find these videos. My friend had a dance group called Circuit, and she would perform pieces about astronomy, and I said she would perform, wow. We would perform. I was part of that, and I like I said, I like bouncing off. When I'm in a group, I tend to wait for someone else and then play back and forth. Like there's a play blast back and forth, you know, she's like this and I'm like, okay, well, how about this? Oh, this is what you want, let me take that and correct it. Whenever I'm in a group, I really tend to be trying to, I think, feed off of others to a degree. So did I answer your question? I think that's
you did. Just kind of like to imagine you, because we're talking about imagining and possibilities and visualizing stuff, kind of see where you be. How about you, Laura? What would you look like in that conference room?
Well, I think like Jess, I would like to have something that I could start with, you know, because otherwise, like, how do I even know if I'm on the right track, or if it'll work, if this is what people want? So I think it's, you know, kind of give me something to work off of. And I think I kind of need the painting too. Like it's hard for me to just have this idea out of nowhere. It came from something external. There's some sensory thing that sort of stimulates the idea, and then I kind of add to it over time and modify it.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna tell a little story from my background and then ask you guys a follow-up question from that. From being in one of these rooms, we used to have something in the space program called Action Center and Tiger Teams. And when something would go on wrong on orbit, we'd get a team together, a Tiger team, and we'd go brainstorm basically. So it's like kind of like the Apollo 13, you know, they had a failure and they had to figure out, they had to take anything and everything they had, just dump it on the table, and then make this instrument to take, you know, to do what's called lithium hydroxide, to take stuff out of the cabin, to make it the environment good for the crew. And so we had various things like that. We'd go into the rooms, and for good and for not good, there were usually a lot of NE DOMs in those rooms. And the good is ideation was just flowing crazy. The bad was that as being SI, I think slightly over NE, I would get pretty aggravated because it was hard to corral that energy and to say, okay, folks, there's a mission crew up there. We got a job to do. Ideation's great, but now we have to start streamlining it. So just expressing a frustration I had in one particular event that comes to mind. So if you were in a room like that, what would be your role in trying to get it back to SI, to get it narrowed down as an idea versus to stay in the any box? Would that be a frustration for you? What would that look like for you?
I'd want to leave the
Yes,
room. That sounds
Jessica.
awful.
Well, how would you
No.
manage it? Say you're in that situation, you know, something's really big on the line. Fair.
It's play last. I'm not doing any of that.
Oh, that's
I want to
true.
like go in and like just control everyone. Like you do this and you do this and you do this. Okay, done. Now I'm going, and you guys just figure it out. I don't want to do this. But
Gotcha.
that I do have that frustration a lot with some any friends of like the ideas. I'm like, okay, and now, and
Yeah.
there's nothing, you know, like.
And now,
And like,
exactly.
or I have to be the one to ground it, and if I don't want to ground it, then it doesn't get grounded, and it's like, fine, then I'm gone.
How would you
Oh,
feel if
I
it's
love
not
that.
grounded?
The
Then?
term
Just like,
grounding.
Yeah, grounding's
One
really,
of the
really
one of the
important.
things about my shave that really drove home something I've been saying for 20 or 30 years. I've always told folks that I live where out there meets grounded. And I'm kind of like in that zone where I can pivot to craziness. But then the reason why I think SI is over NE for me, because I was wondering about that for a while, was because the SI will come in, it'll get frustrated. I call it my
Yeah.
parent bazooka, and it'll like, screw this shit. Let's get something done. And in fact, I had to say that exact set of words, screw this shit. Let's get something done.
Mhm.
You know, we're scattered. So anyway, I just was wondering about, how about you, Laura and Julie? What would your experience be like in that scenario? How would you bring it home, so to speak?
well, I was just gonna say, you know, like you know, I admire your double observation skills. You know, kind of you can kind of pivoting back and forth. I think I think being in that situation would be stressful because I'd be worried about, okay, we gotta solve this big range problem, and we just have all these unrelated things together, and how are we supposed to piece it together? And so I think be like, okay, what am I supposed to do with all this? But then, yeah, I guess, I mean, eventually I would want it, narrow down because I would be like, with masculine SI at the top, it's like I'm very focused on time, like, okay, we got this much time to do it. We got to make the deadline. We got to, we have these specifications we want to meet. We got to get going. And I think it's like at first, I mean, I guess because I'm feminine TE and feminine NE, I kind of play along and I listen to other people's ideas and kind of ping off of them, but eventually it'd be like, okay, we gotta have something here. We gotta get moving.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there, Julie. Before you go, let me say this. In episode 2 with Dave, we talked about, and I offered, organizing data. Well, organizing around time, organizing around physical space, and organizing around matter, around things, right? So it sounds to me like your nudge inside to get the team on the page to SI this stuff would be coming from the time perspective.
Yeah,
right?
well, from the time, yeah. And I think the resources too, like, do we have the money and are we gonna run out? And I mean, yeah.
Okay. Right, Julie?
Yeah, for me, so like I'm in a dance group right now and directed by 2 people, and one of them is an ENTP. And so relative to him, I'm a little less chaotic, right? But exactly, I can see that he's always like more dances, more changes, more, and I think having them, even though I'm sleep last and I can be very chaotic in many ways, my masculine TI is very like, but what are we doing? Like I will at some point be like, but what are we doing? Like in one of their recent videos, I think it was the Jim Parsons video, he was talking to Oh no, but she was commenting on the ENTJ. But anyway, like Shan was commenting about how deciders will just suddenly be like, and now let's do something with the information, how it can kind of be this like choppy slapping. I often am that person, and I guess in a team I will be like, but what are we doing with it? And I will play the double observer and try to corral all the information. I guess another situation is I'm not quite sure what my mom is, but whenever she's kind of going through something, it'll feel like she's blast last as well. It'll feel like, okay. And so I have to be like, okay, mom, let's reel in the information and really get to where we're going. Like I have to play the blaster with her to a degree, which I can. So I guess that's kind of probably how I would function in that group as well.
Yeah.
Can I ask what type of dance?
Right now I'm in a Polish folk dance group.
That's cool.
You and
You
wanna
Magda
dance
must
for
have
us?
had some good conversations, right?
No, I'm just
She's
kidding.
Polish.
Yeah. Yeah,
that
I
right?
know Magda's Polish though. Whenever I started talking to Magda, she was like, "Are you in a Polish folk dance costume in your Facebook picture?" And I was like, "Yes."
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, they're a fun group. I really enjoy them. Yeah.
Speaking of any, a short anecdote on that, I like just go somewhere. When I was in college, a buddy of mine, we'd go to the interstate, we'd flip the coin, heads west, tails east, and literally we'd go, and then we hit the next major intersection, we'd do it again. Right? So I love that kind of stuff.
That sounds so
And-
much
You
fun.
know what I would do sometimes? I would go for a walk outside and I would literally do something similar to that. Okay, which way am I going to go, left or right? And then I get to a next intersection and then I do it again. But sometimes, you kind of end up back where you started, because the odds are you're not really going to get far from where you started and you're kind of just.
So
Well, we
cool.
would just do it major intersections, so we'd end up pretty far. But in Houston, I went once and I did that by myself one day. It's
Yeah.
about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And you know where I ended up? I ended up at a Polish festival in Northwest Houston that I didn't even know was going on. So next thing I know, I'm there drinking beer, and there's all these colorful red and black and white dresses, and they're dancing. So I got a little experience from that myself, but
Yeah.
I didn't dance. You probably danced.
Oh no, that's cool. That's really cool.
It's interesting.
So one of the things on
I
this,
think it's kind of a safe way to introduce a little bit of randomness in your life, I mean.
Yeah, super awesome.
I think, it's interesting because you don't know how, like if Dave and Shan follow any of us around for a month, we might get shaved differently. Let's just say, because I've got tons of skiv in me. But when I show up in certain contexts, especially because I'm kind of a senior elder person in the community, I kind of get in my blasty mode because I feel like an obligation to teach or to pass on or share information. So that's what most of the community sees, and it's valid. But boy, there's so much just random go and do in me as well. So it makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So I've got this book, Creativity and Problem Solving. I got in 2015. I really wish that I had this early in my life. It's good structure. So sometimes with some of the leaders that I work with, we do brainstorming sessions. And so I used this with one recently. Oh yeah, Julie, any chaos, she'll be right back. She'll
Okay.
explain where she's going. She
All
kind of
right.
planned this.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
So there's a distinction in this book, which I think is really interesting between all the functions, NSI, NTE versus NE. So it's kind of a combination. So the two approaches to thinking, one is mechanical thinking, and it's basically non-creative. And I'm a mechanical engineer, so I understand the principles of mechanical engineering really well because I got a degree in it and I practice it. And then the other type they call it lateral thinking, which is kind of an encouragement when you're working with a team or when you're doing it on your own to kind of get outside the box and explore the NEs, the possibilities of ideas, or OE in general, and whatever it might be, right? So I'll read what it says about lateral thinking as a contrast to mechanical thinking, which is, so lateral thinking forces the mind out of comfortable or conventional ways of thinking. One way to illustrate lateral thinking is to remember that when people find themselves in a hole, their natural tendency is to dig the deeper hole. However, the solution may be to go somewhere else and to dig a totally different hole. So I could go on, but I won't bore you guys with that. But it's just kind of like, in my mind, it's part and parcel of what we're talking about. So, I see any as ideas and possibilities and moving from one idea to the other and then landing hopefully on something that then you can bring it home, so to speak, and implement with, right? So lateral thinking is a real good encouragement for anybody that wants to nurture their NE or their brainstorming skills, is my point. Versus mechanical thinking, it's in the box, it's procedural, it's technical, it's step by, it's kind of TI or TE like, more so. So that's a one way to look at the contrast of those things on brainstorming and creativity. So Julie's gone. She'll explain when she gets back where she went. She told us this might happen. So while she's gone, any other thoughts on your experiences or approaches with brainstorming, or anything that's coming up maybe that you think might challenge you, that you could take some of this conversation and go off and develop? Or anything that you've done that maybe for the listening audience you might encourage them to give consideration to? Or not?
Those are big
Not,
questions.
I'm not
Those are big
at the moment, but I guess just to be more aware of, like, when I'm thinking too mechanistically and be like, okay, could I be using a more lateral approach in this scenario? And I guess being more aware of how I'm thinking about things.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I'm more comfortable with the mechanical thinking for sure. Just give this, I hate this about myself, but just give me the instructions like in Lego movie or whatever, like, and then when it's like, okay, but it's the lateral thinking, is what usually saves the day, because you get in ruts,
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of SiTis, TiSis, and yeah, they love that. It's like SI, this is how it's worked in the past. TI, this is how it works for me. Let's pull it together, and there's your way to go.
Yeah,
But you do show a lot of NE in your talk and your personality in our chat. So, maybe you're at that stage of life where it's knocking on the door a little bit more, and it's starting to show. How do
you
you
hear
feel about
that?
that?
Because there's a kid knocking at my door. I don't know if it was funny.
And maybe having it masculine helps somewhat too.
Oh yeah, the fact that it's masculine, it just completely, like, it's what gives it the push. Oh, and we talked about this in the chat in terms of like what is actually serving what, and I feel like a long time over my life, it's like the masculine is like more of a chauvinist. It's not very nice, and it just is like, feminine SI, you will serve me now, and we're gonna like we're gonna break all of your systems, all of your thought patterns. Just like every month we're gonna throw chaos in there, and like, it's awful. But it's funner, the chaos is fun.
Yeah, so when I like to tell folks from my own experience, I'm well into my 50s, so it's like FI, it's my demon, right? So FI for me, the way I described it to folks is it's like a pressure chamber, and I've been stiff arming it and isolating it. I'm an engineer, so I'm going to think in engineering terms. At some point, the pressure just builds up, and life requires you to round yourself out. So integration and facing your demons and all that kind of stuff. Dave and Shannon encourage us, as I think it's smart to intentionally lean into those things and to learn about yourself and to put yourself in. Exposure theory is the concept where if you want to learn how to handle stress, you don't run from stress, you incrementally run towards it, or and dose it, right? So the same thing with your demon functions, right? So in my case, it's FI. My analogy is stiff arming, and then bah, it comes and slaps the shit out of me, right? So I wonder about like NE for you as you continue to move forward, life circumstances and the rounding out effect, as I refer to it, might be starting to show up in you. I don't know. It's just something to look out for.
Yeah, for me, it's about making the intentional smaller NE allowances instead of just having NE just break the whole system. Because I think my animal structure is just so polarized. Like, all the masculine demons are on one end, all the feminine saviors are on the other. My middle two are blast and consume. Like, that's not like it's not like an energy balance, like it's a energy thing that doesn't balance the info, and yeah, so I agree, but I think being more intentional with how much I'm doing the demon stuff, and yeah, but yeah.
How about you, Julie?
I mean, I'm just gonna jump in off of what I was just hearing. Something like, so I'm the opposite. I have double masculine saviors, right? And I have these like double feminine demons. And it was interesting. You guys talked about it's like they'll just take over. And with me, I feel like it's like the opposite. It's like reality will just disappear. Like, I mean, back when I was really unhealthy, it was like, I remember I was having a conversation with my husband. I was looking down at my feet and I couldn't remember what my feet were called. And I couldn't even like think about how to describe them. Yeah. Like reality just can fizzle away. And I have to really reel it in. And something I'm really processing with these socials is that I feel like I've been reeling in my specialize to get my demons, which it kind of is, because specialize is kind of blast, and it, which is, I'm NETI at the top and blast is third, but it's like they are my demons. And like really reeling back and really trying to think about the life that I'm building and to like put myself into like these are what I'm focused on. Dave in his video to me years ago, I think he said to take like a walk in the dark. But like I take a bath once a week and I try to think about what are my priorities, because that's so hard for me. And I like go through, I'm like, okay, like my narrative structure, my family, and like, and I try to think about, okay, and anything else that's kind of a problem I can handle, but these things are my big focus. Because I mean, I guess my masculine NE does take over, but it's like the normal just wants to like,
yeah, that narrative structure type of way of kind of checking yourself, it sounds so INTP, INFP to me.
Yeah,
it really does. It's fun to hear you talk about that, how you've arrived at something that's really resonating with you.
yeah, it's yeah. So I that's, I mean, I don't know what the beginning of the topic was, but that's what I pinged off of.
Oh no, that's fine. So it's perfect too, because in this book I just made reference to that, I talked about the lateral thinking and mechanical thinking. The other section I was going to talk about that it didn't, you just touched on, it's called face reality.
Okay.
And so like that's kind of in this episode I talked about in the space program. I was like, okay guys, enough with all the ideas. We got some candidates, let's roll, right? Facing reality. And what ends up happening is tomorrow I'm giving an emotional intelligence assessment with a tool called EQI 2.0. It's 15 different traits in emotional intelligence, and I'm giving the person the output, and we're going to work on some clinic stuff for that. But the person, I think, has a similar challenge, and they scored really low on what's called reality testing. And people with NE oftentimes do have that challenge. It's because the ideation kind of takes over your brain and saturates you. And it's so fun. It's like each spot along the destinations of ideas that spring from each other is like a festival upon itself, is what I call it. And then, oh, that's fun. And then, oh, here's this festival upon itself. And here's this. And it's like, as much as I love NE, that would frustrate me a lot when I was working with folks. And when I'm doing stuff with folks and working on that, impulse control and reality testing is something that any users can really benefit from as concepts and as
do you find that it matters, like if it's savior NE, or do you find that people with like demon NE have that tendency too, just because they have NE in the stack?
It's NFPs and NTPs that I mostly have coached or talked to or worked with that are the ones that tend to have that score. It's almost like I'm really good with typing people, not in this context, but in the rest of the world. And it's like when I'm meeting somebody, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this person's an NFP. I don't know if it's NFP, INFP, but I'm pretty damn sure. And it's usually right. And then when I get their assessment of themselves, it's like reality testing score, really low. And so that's that face reality you're talking about, Julie.
Yeah.
And so it's something to look into. You know, I could send you some resources, and it's just part of the life walk. It's like we've all have some things like that that are going to challenge us as time moves on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing is that we said a while ago, so I got this book called Idea Spotting, which I bought. It's a really fantastic book. And someone a while ago said something about asking questions. You know, that gets you going and gets you going. So, you know, creative people are the ones asking the questions is kind of what this chapter talks about. So I think any is just curious, you know, because there's something in the brain that's fueling the any. It doesn't just exist, right? There's something intrinsic in there that's fueling this curiosity and this what's possible and brainstorming and all that stuff. And it's just a beautiful function. I love it. But we have to balance it out too. So
And I think sometimes any too will also question what's known. It's like, well, why have we always done it that way? I mean, there could be a better way. And then they're asking those kinds of questions. And they're not
yes.
When I was a girl, my
not
dad
taking anything for granted.
used to make fun of me. Did you guys watch Animaniacs at all? Like, do you remember the girl and she just goes, why?
Yeah.
Why? And my dad said that I was that girl when I was a kid.
So Laura, do you want to show me another screenshot?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, let me go ahead and do it because I'm gonna have to. I sent you some
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It
You can
doesn't
tell me
work
which
so well
color
on
the
mine.
one
It doesn't
you
work
want to
so
show
well
me
on
is.
my end. Yeah. How
If
about
you
the
tell me the color, then I'll pull it up.
okay, the pink one.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah.
So Laura did and I encourage everybody to like and share and all that stuff with Laura's channel because she's been such a gracious host for us throughout this series. This episode 9, we'll do 10. But in one of the episodes we did with Jason and Habib, they told us their typing tips, and so we came up with Hippo, the typing animal or the typing mascot. And so it doesn't show up real great here, but it's a cute little mascot.
Yeah, that's better. That's better in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it stands for humble, iterative, positive, process-oriented as an episode. So I would encourage you folks, for one, that's an example of kind of a creative type of acronym or play on words, and a graphic, a mascot. I think that's NESI. It could be other functions as well.
Mhm.
But I encourage you guys to listen to Laura's episode that she did a dedicated episode on this. So there's another example for you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Very nice.
So okay. So now we're going to pivot to another fun topic. And the topic is conspiracy theories, because we're talking NE and SI. And I'm particularly interested in this because I go around and asking people questions. I've asked thousands and thousands of people random questions because it's just who I am. Lots of play energy, a lot of curiosity, a lot of NETE play in my life. And I'll ask folks, you know, hey, give me your definition of conspiracy theory, because, you know, it seems like there's two camps. There's the camp, so yeah, and then the camp is, oh, you're crazy. Well, NE's a little crazy. I'll speak for myself. And it's ideation and it's thinking of possibilities. And I think it requires balance because you could go off the ranch, so to speak, out the outer space. Like I say, I like to live at the intersection of out there and right here. So what are your thoughts on conspiracy theories and NESI?
Well, I was very surprised back in the day when they first typed Bob Lazar and he was an INTP. I did not try to type him for whatever reason that week. I did not, but like it was always in my head, like Dave would often say, I don't know if he still says it, like, do they have an Illuminati amount of NI? And so I always thought that. And so like Bob Lazar, I was just like, oh, Illuminati amount of NI. And here he was an INTP, and I forget what his fun. I think he might be blast last. And I don't
Yeah, he
know.
was blast last, and so
Yeah,
he's
and
an FF, so he's almost he's a
double feminine.
badass version of your type. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Consume, but
I don't
consume
know.
sleep blast
He
then.
might
Yeah.
be social. I don't know. I guess maybe a social 3 because he seems so specialized on that one thing, you know,
I
and
was gonna say feels like a
kind of in that
3.
same box almost, kind of, but not
Yes.
like in a savior SI way, but kind of, you know, I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's also kind of like masculine, whether it's NI or NE, that tends to really lock on to an idea, concept.
yeah.
And, you know, and I'm feminine NE, so my thinking is I'll consider anything, but when push comes to shove, what I call bazooka masculine SI is going to come in and challenge the shit out of it.
That's kind of
I'm not going to lock in.
similar
I'm
to
going to say, yeah, I might be completely wrong, 100%. And I'll challenge myself all the time, but it's still fun to go off and think about that stuff. So you're right, NI, NE both. That's a good example of somebody who I guess we thought might have been NI, who's NE.
Yeah.
But in both of them can talk about conspiracy theories. And I think the difference that I notice is when an NI user gets their idea locked on something, especially if it's masculine, it's like they're going to drive off the cliff. It's going to be really heroic or catastrophic. It's going to, you know, it's locked in. And I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of what I observe. I guess masculine NE might do that too, but since my feminine NE, I don't really relate to that. Does anybody else have any comments on that? About how that might be managed from a masculine NE perspective?
yeah,
I mean,
I'm
like,
still not sure how you differentiate masculine NE from masculine NI. They just look kind of similar to me. So I
They
mean,
do, huh?
I said, well, I mean, maybe it's just the masculine part, but I suppose masculine NE would maybe be less prone to be locked in compared to masculine SI because at least they're, I don't know, going out more and exploring new ideas. But I think maybe masculine NE, they get locked into an idea, but maybe it's more temporary and they're more likely to get sidetracked. But then they really get locked into something else until they get sidetracked and really get locked into something else.
Yeah.
I don't know.
maybe I could make this a femmes video, but I did talk with my type twins about it a little bit, and we like about the weird, we weren't framing it conspiracy, but kind of paranormal came up, and I was like the only one that wasn't into paranormal at all, which is really interesting to me. So yeah, it's kind of opening my eyes to like maybe how much more INTPs are thinking that way. And what's weird is, so I'm the 4 in the group, so I kind of have ST double last in a way, because friends has flex last, flex is kind of sleep, and so I'm like sleep last twice, and it's ST. And so you'd think that somebody with ST reality last twice would be the one that was more into paranormal, but I'm actually like the one who's the least into it. But maybe it's because to me reality is that much more precious. Like it's kind of felt like that when we talked about it, and like I said, maybe I'll talk with them more about it. But like, I don't know, when I was a kid, I thought there were things everywhere. Like I was so scared of the dark, I couldn't, you know, creatures everywhere. And I think whenever I came to terms with reality, I was like, no, I think things generally are what they look like. You know, like I had a moment, I was like, think things are just mostly what they seem. I had a friend when I was working at Home Depot, and he was either an INFJ or an ISTP. He was double masculine, play last, and I think a 3. And we used to debate a lot about aliens, and he loved coming to me with like, you know, but like people couldn't have built the pyramids, like just like going on these long debates with me, and I always loved it. And in the end, I would always be like, well, I'm not saying that there's 0 chance that there's aliens. I'm just saying that I feel like the probability is very low, because what did they do? What did they take? Why did they come? Like, why do we not know about it? You know, it's, to me, there's reasons, but I like, why am I the one of my type twins like are more other. It's weird. It's weird. I thought I'm like expanding my understanding of masculine NE. I thought it was because I was masculine NE that I was more aware of, or more aware, I'm sorry, because I could be wrong, but that in my perspective, conspiracies tend to not be true. So
Yeah. I have a saying I coined about 20 years ago, which I'll say, it's like, it controversial perhaps, but for whatever it's worth, it's like, show me somebody who believes in most or all conspiracy theories. I'll show you somebody who looks at a fool when they look in the mirror. Now, I balance that. This is not any talking probably. Is show me somebody who says there are zero conspiracy theories, and I'll show you even bigger fool looking in the mirror. Because to me, that's why I was saying, I ask people what conspiracy theories are. I get all kinds of answers. So I got a whole journal on this. And so I have some pretty decent insight into it. But, you know, people can't distinguish between conspiracy theories and nefarious strategies. I'll get them talking on one side about, what do you think about corporate heads and leaders and, you know, all this stuff, and are they jealous, or, you know, are they greedy, and, you know, corporate and all this stuff, and yeah. You think they're very strategic, and oh yeah. So they're strategic and they're nefarious. What's the difference between that and a conspiracy? And so it's just a fun way to approach the topic. So I just kind of wondered what you guys' thoughts are on that. And then also, because this is about SI.
like lizard people.
Yeah. So what role as I call it checkpoint Charlie, does SI play to bring it for you as a person when you're evaluating something on your own, or when you're having a conversation with somebody? What role does SI play for you, and how does that look?
Well, I think for me, it's like, show me the proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, you know, I need the sensory. It sounds kind of far-fetched. Like, I don't think I have any conspiracy theories that I really believe in. And I mean, because I'm always keeping a skeptical eye because of the SI. You know, I need this. This doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard of before. You better show me some really convincing proof, or, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like this as well, just to challenge that. And you're right, in my encounter, folks, SI Dom, ISFJs, and ISTJs tend to be the least oriented towards conspiracy theories. And it's that SI saying, show me the facts. You know, at the space program, the expression was, in God we trust, everyone else bring data. And so I would come up with these ideas, and, you know, this is how we were going to do this. And to my credit, we revolutionized some things, and it ended up happening. And I got told by some folks, this will never happen. And it did happen.
Mm-hmm.
And these were absolute masculine SI people. And so I'm really familiar with that. But at the same time, it's like, the challenge on that is that, well, how many people do you think get away with a crime every year? They didn't get convicted, so they're innocent? No, they just didn't get busted. And
I mean,
people that commit
lot.
crimes are very strategic, and they cover their track, so they never get caught. And I think conspiracies and nefarious strategies could be similar. So that's why I say some subset of them have validity from my perspective. So to categorically say none of them have any validity, or most of them do, I think is where I have the issue. And I guess that's my shave talking.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't say none of them do. I mean, I suppose people thought that Einstein's theory of relativity was like a conspiracy theory, because it's just so, you know, when you first hear about it, it just seems so out there. But I mean, it explains so much. So I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, every once in a while there will be some great breakthrough, and it will be different than like the normal conventional understanding, but then evidence will later show that it was correct. So
right.
For me,
something else to replace that understanding later, something better, you know, something more comprehensive, you know. So
right.
Yeah, I know for me, when conspiracy theories come up, I start getting really squirmy, and I start looking around to see what other people are talking about, because it's like, one, this doesn't have facts. This doesn't like really change my life at all. Two, like, or three, this like they often are like fear induced. So like, you're asking me to care about something that won't change my life, that now I have to worry about. I'm like, I have no interest in talking about this right now. So yeah, I mean, like I'll entertain it in theory, but as soon as the person tries to take it out of the theory and make it apply to me individually, I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. So
Yeah, SiTi would probably be the most challenged to entertain a conspiracy theory.
yeah, because if it's the DI too, if it doesn't change me, I don't know why I'm here. So
Right. Yeah, because it's a threat
Or
to
you have
all
your
your
own-
experiences that
Own
you
sensible
catalog in your
truth, so,
memory
yeah.
and your TI way of getting from point A to point B,
Mm.
and it's your identity, and it's sleep processed, and here you are, and then whoop, somebody's throwing a hand grenade in the middle.
I'm just like,
It's going to be a challenge for you to give it thought and consideration.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Even though I don't think it's like, I think it would be good for me to like consume a little bit more that way, you know, but definitely uncomfortable for sure. Yeah.
Well, face those demons.
Yeah.
Start coming up with conspiracy theories. I'll listen to you.
Anyone think,
Anything
oh,
else
that's
on
a
the conspiracy
theory?
theories?
I know some people have made posts, groups suggesting that OPS might be a conspiracy.
Well, you mentioned Einstein a while ago too. So on that, creative people ask questions, and I've always been very curious, and always that's my approach. I ask crazy questions. You know, important thing is not to stop questioning. That's Einstein. You know, and he's famous with coming up with a thought experiment of what would it be like to ride on a light beam, and from that essential exercise, that curiosity gave birth to relativity and all the other findings from him. So I guess my encouragement for anybody that might be uninclined to get out there is to kind of like grow your out there-ness a little bit at a time. Face your demons and try to bring it into the equation a little bit here and a little bit there, as much as you're comfortable with it. Okay, enough of my soapbox. So another fun question about that is, have you ever seen a UFO?
So I used to work in astronomy as well, and we actually moved a big radio dish from where was it? Socorro, New Mexico to Tucson. We brought it down here, and everybody thought we had UFO because we had a big radio dish on a huge truck.
That's awesome. Yeah, Tucson has a really good astronomical type of community,
Yeah.
right? Isn't there like a big center, an astrophysics center there or something?
Oh yeah, a bunch. I don't know which one. ARO, Arizona Radio Observatory, or NRAO, National Radio Observatory of.
Is it Mark Kelly? Mark Kelly was associated with that too. He's a former astronaut night center. Yeah. I think I've seen him do an event from there.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons, and like Kip Peak has like, there's just a lot. I mean, like Tucson has laws about lights at night, you know, to keep the skies dark and everything. It's
Light
really
pollution is the term. Yeah.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
yeah, it's
And
a,
which is
has to
good.
point
You know,
out.
it's here in Houston. There's a lot of light pollution.
well, there's a lot of light pollution almost everywhere, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, there aren't very many places where you can just go and, you know, really see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
So Jessica, dare I ask, have you seen a UFO?
I have not, and I would have thought it was a bird.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So I'll tell you a quick story. When I have seen one. All right, I was delivering newspapers. I was a junior in high school. My dad and I had a newspaper out. I went by myself, and we would see shooting stars and stuff in the sky all the time, because between like 3 in the morning and like 5 is the best time to see shooting stars, falling stars, and anything astronomical. The sky is light in South Louisiana at the place. And I saw something, you know, I'll never know what it was, but it was like they described, it's like it shot across the horizon from a rice field. And that's the only thing I've ever seen. And I was junior and I was sober, but there you go. And also another funny story, my first week working in the space program, I worked, and I had this guy he's a very famous guy, walked me around my first day of work there. And then it was the first week. And then I went to my apartment they put me up in. And I turned on the TV at 10:30 after going to happy hour. So I did have something to drink at this moment. And I turned on the TV, and it's ABC Nightline with Ted Koppel. And there's this guy, he's totally convinced that NASA is hiding UFOs from us. So he starts going through his story, and I saw this particle and it shot 90 degrees, and physics doesn't work that way. And I'm like groggy, waking up from happy hour, and it's like, what am I watching here? And the guy that walked me around was the guy they were interviewing. But he wasn't the one saying there was UFOs. He was explaining what it really was. And what happened is when the space shuttle would launch, it would get up in orbit, it would shake and rattle, it's a lot of force, and a lot of particles would loose. So something had come off of one of the payloads, a little shimmy. It came off a little paint chip and it was floating. And then the reaction control system jets the space shuttle fired, which is 870 pounds, and it shot that little shimmy 90 degrees, and it made a glimmer of light that came up on the closed circuit televisions, and it was there. And he's like,
See, the illusion of looking
NASA's hiding this aliens from us because physics doesn't work that way. I'm just rolling laughing my first week in the space program at this guy who was so thoroughly convinced that NASA was hiding UFOs from us. Of course, now you watch the news and maybe they were.
But I have a question though. Let's just say it really was like a UFO. Would NASA try to hide it? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that maybe they'd want to, because maybe the people, I don't know, people might panic, I don't know. Do you think that
it's so hard for me to imagine that. This is where I'm going to talk. I say that if you believe in no conspiracy theories, you're the biggest fool to me, right? If you believe in a lot of them, you're a big fool. So to me, this is slivers of things out there. But the people I run into who are convinced, and it's like, okay, it's like the whole flat earth thing, right? It's like, if the earth is flat, you invalidate my 24-year career completely. Because I worked in orbital rendezvous, which is predicated on the earth being round. And everything that happened when the crew goes around 16 times a day, in daylights, and all my friends that are astronauts who told me their stories, they're all liars. And we all have this massive lying network, so ludicrous, it's unbelievable. Now, but what I will tell you is that we worked a lot of DoD flights, and I worked some with a secret background. And there were some that were real safe, secret. Maybe somebody saw something. Some astronauts have said they saw something questionable, but not like these Navy pilots that we're talking about in the news right now. So anyway, it's along the NESI axis, right? So this is how I bring it up. It's like, it's possible people are drawn to it, but again, in God we trust, everyone else brings data. When it comes down to showing the proof of something that should be ascertainable data-wise, I have no evidence that NASA's hiding anything from anybody with regard to that. But maybe the Navy is, or the Pentagon.
I just feel like information eventually gets out. Like, I feel like things can be kept under lockdown for a time, but eventually some like ENTP or ENFP is like, no, people need this information, and leaks it out, That's just what I feel.
Well, security clearance process is extremely rigorous. I mean, the number of people you put in your application, your background information, the number of people they actually call. I had people say, hey, I remember when you were applying for this, I got a phone call. I'm like, you're kidding me. I didn't even put your name down. That type of thing. So there's a lot of rigor and a lot of assessments and stuff. So it's not like the people you run into a coffee shop, pretty much, right? However, to your point, possibly.
Okay, well, then I have a question for you now to follow that up. So Nernst, the Nernst equation? What do you think that guy's functions are? You think that guy has NENSI?
What is the Nernst equation, first of all?
The Nernst equation is, this guy did this, it's like the probability of life being out there in outer space, and he built this whole equation based off of it. And it's all based on probabilities, which I find fascinating, but which I'm not super well schooled in. But like, how do you think that relates to like NENSI and probabilities and stuff? Because it's like, for me, I log on to what I think is most likely, and it's like, I think, sure, there could be aliens, but for me, there's like some Nernst equation where I'm like the probability of somebody eventually leaking it out versus aliens coming here, like it's like it adds up to like probably not, so I'll just assume it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have thoughts on NE and SI? Can I ask that question?
Well, I'm not the expert, but what I'll tell you is that, you know, all these different equations that they have like that, the logic and reasoning of the equations make sense, but the proof and the data in the equations are all, you know, any plausibilities, right? Because there's no SI data to really do that. Some of the components do have some data, but a lot of them there's too much, it's too assumption laden. So there's many equations. You reference one that I've run across. But again, it's like, again, that's kind of like where I'm at. It's like in my own personal case, it's like I'm out there and right here, but the right here is going to usually win, but I won't rule out everything. Because, you know, it's just too fun to consider stuff.
Oh yeah.
Any other thoughts on conspiracy theories with relation to NE and SI axis? Come on, Jessica. Come on, Jessica.
I don't. All right, is this a prod to talk about like my one conspiracy theory?
Yeah. I knew I could pull it out of you.
My like only one that trips me up, which I don't really consider a conspiracy theory, consider it more of an existential crisis, is like just the whole theories about like if this isn't all real and you're just projecting it, and this is all just a projection of the mind and you're not even real, it's you're just ego, and I hate it. And you can't disprove it.
I've had that same thought a couple times. I'm like, what is this coming from? I'm like, this is
well, what does that feel like, and what does that look like, and how do you handle that, Laura, as SI?
I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of, I guess it's just kind of unsettling. I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, one time I had this thought, like, what if I'm just like a figment of my imagination, or I don't really exist, and then it's like my life is just meaningless, and
pretty sad.
The know is meaningless, and you just go down this.
Are you telling me your IJ human need is control? Is that what you're saying? You don't want to. You don't want to. You want
tell
to
me
have
your control without saying your control.
Fair.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's our agenda, Laura. Unless you want to like do some more crazy stuff.
I got one more image to share. I don't know, maybe, or I could tell you which one it is. You can pull it up because you seem to be better at pulling up images. It's the one that's kind of like brownish gray, kind of beige.
Is it the wood?
The wood, yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. So hopefully folks can see it. It's a pattern inside of wood. Can you tell what it looks like?
Do you want me to pull it up on my phone?
Yeah.
A little more clear.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah. It looks like an alien.
It's a peacock alien.
Peacock alien.
So yeah, the topic there was, you know, we shared in our chat a lot of pictures from this one site, Laura. You posted that in our thing too, the things with faces.
There's a
really interesting
blog called Faces and Places. It's an blog, but it's really got some good images, because you can just, like, everyday objects around you, you can see that they have, if you look at it just right, it looks like there's a face. It's kind of like these electrical sockets, at least the ones in the United States, you know, like those two rectangular holes are eyes, and then the bottom one is a mouth. And I mean,
so the point of that is that you know, growing up, I spent a lot of time alone, 3 sisters, only boy in the family, and in the woods looking at clouds and looking at bark on trees and all that stuff. I see so many nurturing things that got my imagination, and seeing patterns that I know now, right? So for anybody that does feel like they want to nurture their NE, Jessica, You know, those types of exercises are something that, and you probably already do it, you know, but they're really fun to really tax your mind and to get your mind thinking more about seeing possibilities and stuff. So I'm picking on you, Jessica, but I mean, just for
Yeah, I
anybody.
got you. No, I had fun as a kid finding them in the floor, like in like, you know, a marble, granite or whatever linoleum floor, and then like moving my eyes away and then going back and trying to re-find it. And I could never re-find it, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, you were gonna say something?
NE. Oh, I was just gonna call you Counselor Brian.
Counselor Brian.
It's good. You have skills there. They come out.
All right, thank you. Well, I mean, you know, to me, the tribe is like one of the things I'll just say is, I you know, my FI, I'm working my FI, right? I confession, I'm walking in the woods about 3 weeks ago, and somebody in the tribe had made a post about something that the light went on for them. And I actually got choked up because one, I was happy to see that because I do have genuine FI and I love people. So I was happy for that person. And it kind of caught me off guard. It's like, what's going on with this? And then I realized, oh, it's because, wow, you know, what if 20, 30 years ago, when I'm in my 20s or 30s, I would have had these tools in my toolkit that OPS, Enneagrammer, and others have to know that I had demons because I didn't know, and to be encouraged with all kinds of good content like these kind of conversations and what David Shan do and with the system to lean into them, right? Versus waiting and waiting and waiting and letting life just kind of slap the heck out of you. And it's really was sentimental and touching to me that, you know, I just got excited because so many folks have that opportunity that I didn't have. And it's pretty cool. So I'll get a little preachy, counseling, and that's why, because I love that about this community, and it's just great to see folks having that opportunity to lean into it. And just imagine, you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, any possibilities, right? The pebble in the ocean, the butterfly effect. You know, you make one person's change and it propagates.
Oh yeah.
So each person that's leaning into their demons and growing and rounding themselves out, becoming more rich, full person is not only doing that for their own benefit, but they're going to amplify that impact across the world. So a little Pollyannish there, I know, but you get the point. So that's where that's coming from.
Beautiful.
Good point. Because I mean, sometimes I have trouble seeing, okay, how am I really impacting the larger world? You know, like I can see it on a small scale. Yeah, I'm making a positive difference for this one person. But then it's like, well, this one person, because they made a positive difference, you influence them to do X, which influences that person. And so it becomes like a chain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just put good stuff out there is my expression.
You know,
right. And when I left the space shuttle program, I got shocked. People that I had hired like 10 or 15 years before, I hadn't seen. They went hard and went to systems group, and they're over there, and I lost complete track of the person. They came to my office when they were getting laid off and knocked on the door, and oh my God, it's Kelly. What are you doing here? I remember you. Yeah, you hired me for such and such group, and would tell me how I completely changed their life, and as a result of that, their kids doing such and such. You know, I had these firsthand examples. I've had a blessed life that I've had a chance to see the proof is in the pudding, right? The SI is there, right? The concept isn't any, but the SI actually happens. So that's why I'm always encouraging people, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, the butterfly effect, pebble in the ocean, they're real effects, and I've been blessed to be able to see some of that and see people doing that and having it come to my life as well. So like I say, we're all in this together.
Oh yeah.
Jessica, any final thoughts?
Nope.
I love sleep.
Should have asked me 3 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't know.
I was picking up on that. That's why I asked. All right, Laura, take us home.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Julie and Jess for being guests and offering your insights into, you know, how NE and SI kind of play out in your life. And I think we had a lot of fun. I think that was just kind of the point of this whole show, was just to just kind of show the more fun side of the SINE axis. And it was great getting to know both of you better and your typing journey. And so just a sneak peek as to our next episode for SI Lab. It's kind of going to be like a conglomeration of like the best stuff from the past episodes. And there might be a surprise. So stay tuned for that.
We hope there's a surprise, but we won't promise it. But
There's
we're
a
calling it the
surprise.
capstone episode.
Yeah.
And like she's saying, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. We have some aspirations, but we're hoping to kind of like tie the kind of like some moments, some key salient points, and kind of pull together the whole series into something that's kind of SI of SI. And so the summary of the summaries. Surprise.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So thanks once again.
Thank you for having me. Can I
Yeah,
say-
yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. Glad we got you guys. It was a little hard getting guests for this episode, but I think we landed the right people.
Yeah.
Yay.
Right.
Yeah. So I will, in the description, I will also send a link to the playlist of the other SI Lab videos in this series. So check that out. And if you want to see more videos, like and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.
I should go and watch that hippo episode.
I watched the hippo episode. Yeah, I'll link to that one too. So.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, guys.
Yay.